Hello everybody, happy Monday. What a beautiful Monday it is with the sun shining. Welcome to today's Digital Skills Live. My name is Amanda Pawley and I am Deputy Editor at Professional Beauty. And today we're here with the amazing Ryan Power. He's been on here before, he's a bit of a name now for our upskills. And he's going to be talking about how to make email marketing a revenue driver for your salon post-lockdown and beyond. So today he's going to be talking about how to make email marketing one of your biggest revenue drivers for your salon. And he's going to be covering some of the top challenges and things like that. So he's going to be talking about the #1 mistake most small business owners make when sending emails, why you don't need a big list of people to drive big sales, how he leveraged email as his biggest income generator in his own day spa and salon, and the 7-word email you can use today to get bookings flowing again. And like with all of our sessions, there will be a 10-minute audience Q&A at the end. So if you do have any questions for Ryan during this, please pop them in the comment box and I will ask them for him at the end. But Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Amanda. Thank you for having me. Lovely to see your face again. And I completely echo your comments about the nice weather as well. Is this the start of, it is now officially British summertime after all, with the clocks changing. So I'm all in favour of that.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it does. It feels really positive today with the sunshine, which is nice. But what I'm going to do, Ryan, is I'm going to turn off my camera and mic. I'm going to let you do your presentation and I will come back at the end to do any Q&A with you. But obviously, if you have any issues along the way, I am here. So just call my name. I'll come back on and help you out.
Thanks, Amanda. That's brilliant.
Thank you, Ryan.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Great to have everyone here with us. As Amanda said, we're going to be talking today about email. We're going to be going through some really, really cool stuff. And there's going to be some super actionable things as well that you can do. My desire for you today is actually to be able to come away with a couple of, key aha moments maybe, and a couple of things that you can go away and do right now in your business so that you can have an impact immediately. I want you to get an immediate return, okay? So if you haven't already done so, grab a pen and a bit of paper. I do go pretty fast for those that don't already know me. So grab that and, as I say, scribble down a few notes. And likewise, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and Amanda's going to collate those and we can go through those at the end, okay? So we're all talking today about how to make email marketing a big revenue driver for your salon. Post-lockdown and beyond, right? This isn't just a lockdown thing. Email is something which I would encourage everyone to really up their game because it's such a great area where you can really start to stand out. And we're going to be talking through a few ways that you can do that in our time together. I'm going to start with a mercifully short introduction to me. My name is Ryan Power. I am a salon growth coach, author, speaker, all-round marketing geek. Myself and my wife Holly own the community coaching company Salonology. You can probably work out for yourself which one of those I am and which is my wife Holly. I am a speaker, as I mentioned. I'm also the author of this best-selling book, The Customer is Always Right. And if you hang around, I'll give you an opportunity to get one of those for nothing at the end of the presentation. You might also have heard Holly and I on our podcast as well, the Salonology Show. We also were thrilled and privileged enough to be finalists for a couple of the recent Inspiring Beauty Babtak Awards, and we won a Great British Entrepreneur Award as well. So, but also what's most important outside of all of that is this is a picture of our business, right? We owned our own day spa and salon for over a decade. So, and the reason why this is so important is because I want to share stuff with you which actually works. This is what we actually did in our business, right? It was a very, very successful business that we had for over a decade, and we used to fill it all the time. The main way we would fill our diary columns was using email, which often surprises a lot of people because they think it's going to be, Google or Facebook or something like that, but it wasn't. Email was the main driver, and I'm going to share with you the exact formula that we used to actually make that happen so that you can go and do the same thing in your business. Okay, so hopefully that sounds good. If that sounds like a good goal for today, then give me some thumbs up in there somewhere so I know that it's hitting the right spot. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to go through first the #1 mistake that most small business owners make when sending email, so that you don't make the same one. We're going to tell you also why you don't need a big list of people to drive big sales, okay? Some people think or say to me, oh, Ryan, that's, I've only got 50 people on my email list, so it's not going to work for me. I promise you that's not the case, and I'm going to prove that for you today. I'm also going to break down the exact steps that we did and exactly how we leveraged email as our #1 income generator in our own day spa and salon. And I'm also going to share with you the 8-word email that you can use today to get your bookings flowing again, and you can use this moving forward as well. You're going to want to write those 8 words down, okay? It's super simple, and it's something which you can go and do right away, and I hope you do. And if you do and get some bookings, then let me know, because I'd love to hear about it. Okay, so let's start by just breaking down why email must become a part of your marketing arsenal again. And the reason why I say must is because I'm really passionate about email, which now I've just said that sounds like a kind of an odd thing to be passionate about, really, doesn't it? But, you know, never mind. It's out there now. And the reason why is, as I say, because we've had such wonderful results with it, and I want the same thing for you as well. A lot of the time, it's kind of like a bit less fashionable, isn't it? Everyone's saying, oh, you've got to be doing Instagram marketing or TikTok videos or whatever it might be. But because of those new other emerging areas, that actually makes email even more important, and I'm going to explain why. The first reason why is because you're going to get much less competition in the inbox now, okay? Because lots of other businesses are relying on email less for all sorts of communications, not just business communications, but if you think about it, some people where you might have used to send a quick email to a friend, you might WhatsApp them now, right? So there's less competition in the inbox. That means that you can stand out much easier ahead of your competition, okay? It is also the perfect way to accompany your other communications, okay? So this isn't an instead of, it's an as well as. And actually what you often find is you get the best results when the different things that you're doing all dovetail over one another. So for example, if you're going to do a Facebook live video, then I would recommend that you email telling people you're going to do that, right? And after you've done it, you can email them the replay, okay? So you can have everything fanning over the other thing to get a more wider spectrum of your communications with your clients, okay? It also costs next to nothing, which is a really good reason to get involved, okay? It costs next to nothing for you to send emails. And again, this is a way of getting your message in front of thousands of people potentially for free, right? And you know, much has been said, of course, of the declining reach on your social media channels. Many pages on Facebook, for example, you put up a post, it might only get seen by 1 or 2% of everyone who follows your page, whereas your emails are going to be open, hopefully, by a much higher number than that. So it's easier to get your message out there. And this is probably the most important one, by the way. It is brilliant to build relationships, okay? When done the right way, okay? And that's a really important caveat. And I'm going to explain to you what I believe that right way is today. So this is really key, okay? It's the type of emails that you send which are going to determine whether or not you're going to build those relationships, okay? Holly always says that bonds build businesses, okay? And it's true. If you can have a deeper relationship with your clients, it's going to make you the obvious choice when they are ready for the services which you offer. So why wouldn't you want to build those bonds with your clients? This is a brilliant way to do it, again, in conjunction with the other things that you're probably already doing. Let's start with where most people go wrong, because I see this over and over again. And there is a right way and a wrong way, I believe, and lots of people are doing it the wrong way. So let's just blow that out there right away. The first place where a lot of people go wrong is they don't send any, right? They don't send any emails. And again, there's so many people who have got the client's authority to email them, and they've got them all through their booking system, and they're just not doing anything with it. And if that sounds like you, by the way, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's me, then good news, right? Because you've got a massively untapped income source right under your nose. So that is really good news if that sounds like you. Most people, if they do send some, they don't send enough, okay? There's this kind of, a lot of people are thinking, oh, if I send more than like one a month, I'm just going to annoy people and I don't want to irritate them, and then they're going to unsubscribe, and then, oh no. Whereas of course, that typically doesn't happen at all. Typically, we get 144 emails each per day. So if you imagine your emails landing in your client's inbox, one a month is a tiny, tiny percentage of what they are receiving. And if you're not sending more regularly than that, then you really are missing a trick, because as I say, nowadays, what we're all fighting for is your client's attention, right? That is really the key currency of 2021, is attention. That's what you want. You want the eyeballs of your clients on what you are doing, right? So if you're not sending with a bit more regularity, then you're not giving them the opportunity to actually communicate with you, okay? Next way, again, what a lot of people do is they also send the wrong type of email, okay, the wrong type of email, because many, many moons ago, everyone was teaching that you had to send very image-rich newsletter style emails, and I'm going to encourage you to do something completely opposite to that, okay? Most people also don't have a system for collecting email addresses, okay? And again, I'm going to talk to you about that in a little bit later on, when I break down exactly what we did in our own business and the way that we collected people's email addresses. You need to have a system in place so that it does it on autopilot for you. Ultimately, the more emails you send, the more bookings you're going to generate, right? That's kind of like, that might seem like a bit of an obvious point, but it's true. When we tested this, right, we used to send one email a month, and we thought to ourselves, I wonder what would happen if we started sending more. So we tracked it, and then we started sending 2 a month. And we realized that actually we made more sales, right? So then we started sending 3 a month, and then 4 a month. And we just kept pushing it up and up and up and up and up until we found the sweet spot, which we found was at 1 to 2 emails a week, okay? And again, I know some people are going to be thinking, what? Every week? That's ridiculous, okay? But it really isn't, because not all of the emails you send to your clients are going to be opened. They're not all going to be read. Some of them won't even be delivered. Okay, so you need to have that regularity on there to give you a chance to build the bonds with your clients, which is what the whole purpose of this all is, right? The whole purpose of this, as I'm going to explain to you in a minute, is building deeper bonds with your clients, so that they want to do business with you. It's not just like pummeling them with sales messages. It's not that at all, okay? So again, and I'm going to tell you exactly the sort of messages that I do recommend that you send, okay? So the number one mistake that people make is they send sales-based newsletters, right? You know the sort I'm talking about, because all of the big companies send them, don't they? All of the big retail companies, all of the big high street names, they all send out these like flashing, high colors, high imagery, sales-based newsletters, which are ultimately just a thinly veiled sales pitch. And people are seeing through that now, right? So we don't want to send them because they're boring, aren't they? They're so boring. People just open them and then delete them because there's no value, there's no substance. And quite frankly, you can do better than that, right? And I'm going to explain exactly how. Because there are several problems with newsletter type emails, okay? And when I say newsletter, what I'm talking about specifically are the type with the high images, high res images all over them. And, you know, normally there's like a 10% off coupon or something unimaginative like that in there. You'll see them all the time from all of the big companies. The main problem is that no one wants to read them, okay? Not many people look forward to receiving a newsletter, right? It's the simple fact. And a bigger problem still is that they get trapped in spam filters, right? And the reason why is because the big email services, right, your Gmails and your Hotmail and whoever else, they know that people don't want to receive newsletters anymore, and they know what a newsletter looks like, so they just filter it over into the spam or the junk or the promotions folder for you. So even if you've got the best looking newsletter in the world, there's every chance it's not even going to reach its intended target, okay? So straight away, you're doing yourself a disservice, because even those people who might want to read it are probably not going to get the opportunity to do so, okay? The problem is they are viewed as a sales pitch ultimately. It's typically, here's some new stuff we're doing, here's a promotion code, or come and buy my stuff, right? That's the typical message. And this is why people are switched off to that, because ultimately people don't want to be sold to in that way, okay? So instead of doing that, what we want to do is send them value-based things so that we can build a relationship with them, so that they look forward to receiving our emails, right? Because they think they're going to get some value out of them. And newsletters, quite frankly, they're boring, right? They are boring. And the problem with that is that being boring is the #1 marketing sin, right? It's the #1 marketing sin, being boring. So again, buck the trend. If other people are sending those, do something different, right? Do something different. And I'm going to explain exactly what that is in a minute. And also the other issue with newsletters is that they often don't look good on mobile. So if you've got like this huge high-res image, typically most email servers on mobile won't download that image. You have to tap a button to download it. So it just comes through with a big white space, looks rubbish, doesn't do anyone any favors. So we're going to bin that off entirely, and we're going to go look at a different way to do it, okay? And quite frankly, did they used to work? Yes, that was why everyone did them, but they don't work as well now as they once did. And that is why I'm going to recommend that you do something a little bit different, okay? Ultimately, and you're going to want to write this down if you're taking notes, if you want to stand out from your competition, and I suggest that you probably would want to do that, then you just need to be different, right? And that is a really good tip for all areas of your business, but particularly in terms of doing email, right? But also in terms of doing lots of other things, okay? Just buck the trend, see what everyone else is doing, do the complete opposite, and by definition, that will indeed make you stand out. So, the type of email that we had great success with, I'm going to break this down for you now, and why not copy it? I would love it if you do. In fact, normally when I teach people this, I often get an email from someone or a message from someone a couple of weeks later saying, look, I tried that thing that you suggested, I did it differently, and I got some bookings right away, or I got a whole load of replies, and currently no one replies to me, but I did get that this time. So I want the same results for you, okay? So here's how we did it. First and foremost, we send plain text format emails, okay? And what that means is, it means no pictures, right? It means no big flashing images. It means no multicolored font. It means no huge headline font and then other things in different colors. None of that, okay? It's written in the same way that if I were to send you an email today and go into my editor and press compose and just type, right? That's what we want them to look like. And the reason we want them to look like that is because then someone doesn't think you're selling anything to them, okay? We switched off to the high-res, high-image type stuff because we know it's just a sales pitch. We know, oh, what are they trying to sell me this time? That's what we want to get away from. And the first way that we can do that is by making our emails look completely different to those sales type emails, right? We want to make them look like how one friend writes to another friend. If you were to send an email to your best friend to talk about meeting up on Friday to go for a walk or something, you wouldn't send them massive, great flashing images and huge, fonts and stuff in your email, would you? You'd just open it up and you'd fire them a plain text email. That's what we're going for here, okay? So again, and you want to write it as if it is written from one friend to another. And the word one is a really key word in there, and I suggest you underline that, because there is no better way to turn off your current audience by sending them an email which starts with something like, dear all, or dear subscriber. I mean, who wants to be a subscriber, right? No one. Dear customers. Oh my God, rubbish, right? You want to have it written so that the person receiving it believes you have written it to them and only to them. So if you're currently using terminology that suggests that you're writing to a whole group of people, then honestly, stop that right away. Because it's very, very difficult for someone to build any sort of bond with you if they feel they are just in a big group of people. Whereas if they think you're just writing to them and no one else, then that is the start of building that relationship with them, okay? The email should be easy to read and to digest. Sometimes we would send an email, and we still do, that's 2 sentences long. Because you're not always going to have a great long thing to write, because all the purpose of these emails is to build a bond with people, get them a bit closer to us. Because when they're much, much closer to us, we're more likely to then sell them something down the line, okay? It's not about sending out an email and getting a flood of bookings instantly, although sometimes that will happen. It's about everyone you sending, bringing you two together a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Does that make sense? Type yes if that makes sense. A good way to do it is just to contain one idea or one story per email. So, and here's a really good way to do this, right? Because what a lot of people do with the traditional newsletter style that they maybe send out once a month, it might have like 4 ideas in there, right? It might be talking about a bit about a new member of staff, and then you might have another bit about a new treatment that you're offering, whatever it might be. What I would do is I would recommend that you just break those up and make them into 4 emails, and you just send one of those each week. And you write it in this format, plain text, written as if it's one person, written to one person, okay? One friend to another friend, okay? That's a really good way to think about it. Send them weekly, okay? You might want to experiment with even greater frequency with that, but at least go for weekly for now, okay? If you're sending one a month, I promise you, you're leaving a heck of a lot of money and bookings on the table. You want to be the first person that someone thinks of when they're thinking about whatever treatments or services you offer. And one of the ways you're going to do that is by being top of their mind, right? How do you get top of mind? Well, you have to contact them regularly. This is why you should be posting regularly on your socials and not just once a week, right? Multiple times every day. You want to keep your name in front of your clients. And as I've mentioned already, these are really designed to build relationships with the reader, okay? So therefore, they're not all necessarily even going to be about business, right? You might share some personal stuff, okay? You might talk about some of your staff, some of your teams, what you're looking forward to doing next, all these different things, because we're trying to build a bond with the reader. And therefore, sometimes we're going to have to pull back the curtain a little bit and share something with them, because that's going to bring them a bit closer to us. Does that make sense? So we're going to try and move away from the type of email you can see on the left, which probably looks familiar to you, right? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a newsletter style email with all these images and all these little links to click in there and stuff. We want to move away from that to the type that you can see on the right-hand side, which is literally just words, right? And one of those looks like the sort of email that one friend would send to another friend, and the other one looks like the type of email that a business would send to someone that they're trying to sell them something. Does that make sense? So the point of this is we're trying to move away from being perceived as a company that's just trying to sell stuff to our clients, and we're trying to move over into the column of trusted friend, right? Which most of you will be to your clients anyway. So why don't we, leverage that somewhat and actually give them something that they're going to look forward to reading. And I absolutely promise you, if you try this, even just with one email, right? I bet you that you get more responses and more replies than you have ever had to any newsletter email. I would actually go as far as say, I'll put my neck on the line and say, I bet if you're sending newsletter style emails at the moment, you probably get a tiny, tiny number of replies, probably less than 1%. And if you switch that over and send one where it's just written words, written from one person to one person, depending on what you put in it, of course, then I will guarantee that you will get many more responses. And I'd love for you to try, and I'd love for you to let me know. If you're going to try that, right, put, yes, I'm going to try it in the comments or something similar, right, so I can see, because I'd love to hear how you do, right? Because I know, because we've done this with hundreds and hundreds of other people who all then came back to me and said, it performed much, much better, right? And I want the same for you. And there's more good news. Can you believe it? More good news? Yes. You don't need a huge list of people to make this work for you. Don't be sitting there thinking, well, I've only got 50 names, Ryan, so this probably won't work for me. I promise you, it can work for you. Do not let that hold you back. A list of 50 people who actually open and read and engage with your emails easily beats hands down 5,000 people who don't care. bigger is not always better, right? Ultimately, quality is more important than quantity. And this also goes for your social media platforms and anything really, right? It's all about having a quality relationship with a small number of people who then love everything you do, wouldn't dream of going anywhere else, will buy everything that you offer them, will come and take all of your recommendations because they know you, like you, trust you, and love you. They've got a relationship with you. Is this making sense, right? Because this is one of the key ways that you can nurture those relationships. And therefore, you don't need a huge list to do it. So I would encourage you to start with where you're at today. Now, wherever you're at, just make that start, right? Make the start. So I'm now going to break down for you exactly how we used email to grow our day spa and salon, which, as I mentioned, was in Bournemouth on the sunny south coast of England, which we owned, my wife Holly and I owned it for over a decade, okay? And email was our main growth factor, if you like, the main thing, the main tool that we use to grow the business. And a lot of people are surprised when I say that, and I'm going to walk you through now exactly what we did so that you can copy it. Does that sound good? Right? Excellent. Okay, here we go. So the first thing that we did was on our website. You probably know they have a little sign up form, don't they? You might have one on your website, and it probably says something like, subscribe to our newsletter, right? And probably no one does, right? Because no one wants your newsletter, right? So we changed the wording on the box, same box, different words. We changed it from sign up to our newsletter to win a spa day for 2, right? Ooh, how many people do you think all of a sudden would want to give their name and email if they could win a spa day for 2 people? Well, I'll tell you, lots of people wanted to do that compared to very, very few people who wanted our newsletter. So this is what we did. We started running a competition to win a spa day for 2 people. We then promoted that, okay? So rather than promoting any of our treatments necessarily or our services, we were promoting the competition, okay? And lots of people were driven to our website, lots of people registered. In fact, over the years that we did it, we actually ended up with more than 9,000 people who were on our database, right? Now, that isn't essential, by the way. That was just a side benefit of what happened. You don't need 9,000 people to make a success of this. But let me tell you this, when you have a list of 9,000 people, if something, if you get some last minute cancellations or there's some unexpected white space in your diary, I promise you that sending an email out to 9,000 people saying, oh, we've got a last minute spot, would you like it? That's a pretty powerful tool for a business owner, I promise you. So you don't have to start with that. We certainly didn't, but that was what it grew to because it was so popular. So we held a monthly prize draw, and every month we gave away a spa day for 2 people. Now, that was a prize that made sense for us. I'm not saying you have to do that. You need to work out something which you feel that your clients would be interested enough so that they give you their information. But likewise, it's something which isn't going to bankrupt you in the same way, right? And then we announce the winner via email on the 1st of every month. Now, that is a key bit of information right there, okay? And the reason why that is so key is because if you had entered a competition where you might be able to win a spa day and they've told you, we're going to email you on the 1st of the month and you'll know if you've won, are you going to open that email, right? Yes, you are. Of course you are, right? Everyone did, right? So everyone is opening this email that we're sending out to these 9,000 people, right? And I mean, everyone opens it, okay? Now, in our spa, every month we had a treatment of the month. It was typically a unique, one-of-a-kind, off-menu treatment that was only available for that calendar month. Can you see where I'm going with this? Are the light bulbs starting to flash, right? Because, as you've probably gathered, we're sending out an email saying, oh, who's the winner, right? Who's the big winner? Who's the big winner here? We're sending that email out. Everyone is opening that email. They're going to see who the winner is. If they didn't win, what else are they going to read in the same email? Oh, they're going to read about our treatment of the month, which, by the way, was always really cool. And it was unique and it was limited edition and they could only have it for that month. what happened was hundreds and hundreds of people would respond to that email and book in the treatment of the month, right? Every single time we sent that email out. So one person won, but hundreds would then immediately respond to that email, and that would fill out our diaries for the weeks ahead. All from sending that one email and giving away one prize. Was it worth it? Absolutely it was, okay? Now, of course, that's only part of the picture. And of course, you want to be sending other emails, typically value-based emails that people actually want to read and open, because again, that keeps them closer and closer to you, okay? So we then used to send weekly or sometimes twice weekly value-filled emails, right? So what does that mean by value-filled? It means you're not flipping trying to sell them anything, you're just trying to help them, right? So for example, you might send out an email which has got like your top 3 tips for dealing with maskne, right? Or something like that that's relevant at the moment. What to do if you haven't been able to get to the salon in 6 months, how to look after your hair. Here's my top 3 tips. Are you conditioning your hair wrong? Here's my top 5 tips of how to do that, right? That sort of thing. So the point of these is it keeps your readership engaged. If you're sending emails that are constantly just trying to sell something, then guess what? People are going to stop opening those pretty quickly, right? So you either send some value or a story of some description, right? People love stories. So we rarely sold in these, okay? We were just keeping ourselves in front of our clients. We wanted all the people reading these emails to go, these seem like nice people, right? And remember, a lot of these people, they were just entering the competition to try and win, okay? Now, we made sure that only people local to us were entering. Now, most people aren't going to travel that far for a spa day anyway, so that kind of made sense for what we did. I wouldn't ever recommend doing a competition like that where you send out you know, products or anything like that, because you're going to get loads of people entered in from all over the country, and that's not the point. The point is we were trying to attract people who live local to us who are interested in spa days, because if they didn't win one, then they might still come and buy one from us at some point, okay? So again, we're not selling in these emails, we're just keeping ourselves in front of our target clients. Now, for some of these people, they might be on our email list for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, without ever booking something, and then one day they see something, and that is the tipping point, and they go ahead and book. And this is the whole point. Every single one of those other emails that we've sent to them, it brings them a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. And for some people, it's not going to take much, and for other people, it's going to take a lot more. We experienced a very, very low unsubscribe rate, because what we did was we said, look, once you're in the competition, we'll put your name in the draw every single month, right? And it actually meant that we had a really low unsubscribe rate, because people wanted to keep opening the emails, because once a month they knew there was a chance they'd win a spa day, and people did, right? It was a genuine prize, and it was eventually our #1 repeatable way to fill our diaries, okay? Because this is the other thing, guys, right? If you're reliant on Facebook, for example, or Instagram for all of your bookings, you do not own that traffic, okay? I'll repeat that. You don't own the traffic. Mark Zuckerberg does, right? He's just saying, yeah, I'm going to show your post to these people. Well, what about if Mark takes his ball and takes it home and doesn't want to show it anymore? What happens if the algorithm changes overnight and all of a sudden all businesses have got to pay for people to see the posts, which is almost what's happened already? Email traffic, you own. That is an asset. An email database with the authority to contact people, that is a valuable business asset for any business owner, okay? This is why it's such a brilliant thing to do, because then you've got that asset and you can contact these people. You're in control of it, not a third-party platform. We ran the same competition for years, right? And eventually, actually, we also ran paid ads to promote the competition. And we were getting people signing up for the competition for less than £1 using Facebook ads. So we were finding people that we thought would be a good fit for our business, and we were serving them ads about the competition, because we knew that it was worth paying £1 to have someone's email address and the authority to contact them, because we knew that we would turn some of these people into paying clients down the line. okay? It's a long-term strategy. I'm not saying you want to do that straight away. I'm just explaining exactly what we did, okay? We didn't do that to begin with. So whilst there was more to it than that, this is a system which any business could easily replicate, right? You could put this into place in your business tomorrow. And as I say, that's a massively simplified version of it because of the time constraints that we have. But could you see how that could be a brilliant tool for your business in addition to everything else you're doing? Put yes if you think that's something that you could do. Because it's not difficult. There's nothing complex about any of that. None of it is difficult. You just get your web guy to change some of the text, right? And you're away. It's as simple as that. Please do not underestimate the power of email. No pun intended, right? And I'm going to leave you, by the way, we're going to hang around for some questions. So if you've got questions about this, then fire them away in the comments now. I'll hang around for as long as there are questions to answer. But I want to leave you with the 8-word email that you can use today, and I hope that you do, to kickstart your bookings. Does that sound like that would be something of value, something of interest? Put yes, Ryan, if you want the 8-word email that you can use to kickstart your bookings. And I know that you do. I know that you want it because it's really good, right? It's deliciously simple, right? Now, this can be used for anyone who has sent you an email inquiry in the last 12 months. And I recommend that you do go back over all of your old inquiries, right? And send them this email. And if you want, by the way, if you have good success with this email, you can also then replicate it on your WhatsApp or on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, wherever you want, right? Anywhere where people have made inquiries to you, you can send them this message to kickstart your bookings. Ready? Okay, here it is. Hey, blank, are you still interested in blank? And that's it. That is it. Write that down and promise me you're going to test it, right? Because here's how it works, right? So someone has inquired to you. Let's say they've inquired about a waxing appointment in June, right? You were closed. It didn't happen, whatever reason, okay? Hey, Amanda, are you still interested in waxing, right? And that's it. Because just because someone inquired with you 6 months ago, well, they might not need that specific treatment now, but it doesn't mean that they won't need it again in the future. Most treatments for both hair and beauty are not one-offs, are they? Most treatments they're going to need again, especially something like waxing. They're going to need it every, X weeks or months. The same with a haircut, right? Are you still interested in? And then whatever it was they said they were interested in. What's going to happen as a result of that? Well, lots of people won't reply, and that's fine. Lots of other people will reply, and they will reply typically saying something like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I never got back to you because what happened was little Charlotte fell over in the playground and she had to then go and see the nurse. Oh, and then we had to take the dog to the vet that evening, and oh, life got in the way, right? Because everyone's busy, aren't they? The reason they're not booking in with you is obviously they don't like you. Is typically because you haven't reminded them enough times and people are busy, right? It is our job as business owners to remind people to do business with us, right? It's not their job to remember. They've got 1,000,001 other things going on in their life. So, and some people, they need more nudging than others. They need more reminders, okay? This is so simple, and I promise you it works. Go and do it this afternoon. It's really important that you put their name in there. Because again, someone, and you can just copy and paste. You could sit and just go through your whole inbox and spend an hour or two doing it. I promise you're going to get people coming back to you saying, yes, I'm still interested, right? When can I have an appointment? Of course, I'm still interested. Has that been useful? I really hope that has been useful for you. And please go and try that, right? And then you can go back through like your Facebook inbox as well and go and do it to all those people. Anyone who's inquired to you is fair game for this message, okay? Send out, I promise you, people are going to reply for it. Now, as I mentioned at the start, just by way of thanks for staying with me, if you'd like a copy of my book, and incidentally, the first chapter in my book is all about newsletters and my disdain for them. It's a real book. It's got over 100 5-star Amazon reviews. Then just type book Ryan in the comments, right, on your Facebook, book Ryan, tag me if possible, and I'll reach out to you and let you know how you can get one and just pay postage and packaging on that. That is my gift to you. So thank you ever so much for listening. I hope that has been really, really valuable. I think we're now going to do some questions. So feel free to reach out to me. My social links are on there if you want to get in touch and have a chat to me about how you can do this in any more depth. But otherwise, Amanda, if you're there, let's do some questions if we've had some.
Hello, Ryan. That was brilliant. Just for people who are watching on Zoom, if you actually type in your email address, we can collate them at the end rather than just putting book Ryan, because once this closes, we can still get the chat box up. So yeah, if you post your email rather than just book Ryan, we can collate that together. But yeah, Ryan, it's been really good. We've had loads of people commenting saying they've had a real light bulb moment during it, which is absolutely fantastic. And even some of it, I just thought, yeah, I'd be opening that. So we've had a few questions come through, so I'm just going to try and get through as many of these as possible.
Sure.
We had a question on Facebook that says, how do you personalize emails without having to send everyone individually? Can you send it as a group but be personalized?
Yes, you can. So if you use a professional email software to send your emails, I use one called ConvertKit, but Mailchimp is probably the leader, as it were, the most popular one. As long as you use one of those types of platforms to send your emails, then you can do what's called a name merge. So it basically, then it says dear, and then whatever the person's name is for everyone whose name you have. So that way you can still personalize it for everyone. And everyone, I would recommend that they do go ahead and use one of those types of software, because if you're currently sending your business emails just through like a Gmail account or through Outlook or something, then you run the risk of getting in trouble from a GDPR perspective, because you must have an unsubscribe link in your emails, and they typically don't give you the option to do that. So it's definitely worthwhile. And if you've got under 500 subscribers on your list, then it's free with ConvertKit, and I think free with Mailchimp up to 1,000 or something. So go and look up one of those, definitely, and that's how you can personalize them all.
Brilliant. And actually, we did have a question about ConvertKit particularly. The user said, Ryan, lots of my ConvertKit emails end up in clients' junk. Is there a way to resolve this?
Well, that's like the ultimate $64,000 question, I think. There are multiple reasons why we end up landing in the spam or the junk folders. And nowadays, the email systems are getting more and more clever and more responsive. So even to the extent where they kind of scan it on the way in. And if they think it's a great big sales pitch, for example, then they're just going to put you straight in that spam folder, whatever happens. So there are certain things that you can do. First of all, don't send image files. Use less links. All things like that are going to be showing up as spam flags to the filter. Likewise, using capital letters in the subject line, using things like the word free or sale or anything like that, all big no-nos, particularly in the subject title. The other thing that you can also do, and this is one of the benefits of doing it in this way around, is that when you send out more conversational type emails, which is really what we're talking about here, people start replying. And that is like the ultimate trigger to the spam people that you're not spam, because someone's replied to you. And just sending these conversational type of emails will automatically mean you start to see more of that and less time in the, you're always going to get some that do land in the spam filters, but that's definitely a way that you can work on having less in there.
Yeah, and somebody else has said, is it okay to use something like Mailchimp just in the plain text format?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we had another question as well, which is quite interesting, is what's your opinion on using emojis in the title? I've heard that this can help.
I like using emojis in the title. I use emojis in the title of my emails sometimes. I think that, again, a bit like we said right at the start, anything that you can do different to everyone else is going to make you stand out. Now, when the point comes that everyone is doing that, and if you look in your email on your phone and everyone has got emojis on there, then that's probably the time to stop doing it, right? Because you want to do the opposite of everyone else. But at the moment, not that many people are. So I would say if you have never sent an email with emojis in the subject title, I would say test it and see what happens. Because that's the beauty of especially with email, you can test what works and what doesn't. So one week you can say, right, I'm going to, go out and put those there in the subject line. Let's see if more or less people open it than normal. So these are sort of things that everyone should get in the habit of testing. But I am not against those one little bit.
No, I quite like them. I don't know if that's the millennial in me, but I always think it makes people look a bit more fun. I don't know.
I totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. And again, I guess it depends on what your business is, Amanda, ultimately, and it depends on who your dream target client is. So are emojis going to be as well responded to if your client is an ultra conservative 65-year-old? Maybe not as well as if your dream client is a 19-year-old girl who wants her lashes done. So I guess it's all about knowing your client.
Definitely. And we had another question as well, and this was from someone who says, how do you go about obviously collating this data, these email addresses, if you haven't got a website? I'm guessing this salon probably just has like a Facebook page and an Instagram page. So what would be your advice for them?
I guess ultimately my advice would be you need a website. Absolutely every business needs a website. They don't need to be expensive. They don't need to be flashy and all singing and all dancing, but you need a presence. Because I promise you, whoever the person is that asked the question, there are going to be people at the moment that you bump into and meet, and the first thing they're going to do is go and Google you and have a look at your website. And if you haven't got one there, then that's a problem. The other problem, as I touched on actually during the presentation, is that if you're relying just on Facebook or Instagram, what happens if the algorithm changes overnight? What happens if your account gets blocked or banned or hacked? All of a sudden, your entire business is in limbo. So a website, your own website, you get to control that traffic. So that is why it's so important. But to answer the question, in case for some reason they aren't able to get a website at the moment, then my advice would be to have it on your consultation forms. You can still, you've got to get everyone's personal information when they're going to come in anyway. So there's no reason why you can't ask for it there. Just make sure that you have their consent to actually email them, particularly about marketing stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And we've had a question as well about subject lines, because obviously they're very important. And this person's just asked, what subject lines have you found the most successful?
Okay, what a great question that is. Okay, so right, so first a word about subject lines. And again, this is worth writing down for anyone. The subject line is the most important part of the email, because ultimately it's that is going to determine whether or not someone opens the email. And the big problem or rather mistake that I see people making over and over and over and over again, is what they try and do is summarize the entire email into like 7 or 8 words to squeeze it into the subject line. And the problem with that is if you're telling someone what's in the email in the subject line, why bother opening the email, right? Because you've already told me what it's going to be about. So I might not do that. So what I like to do is I write my emails first, and then I go back and add the subject line after. And what I do is I try and pick one part of the email and I then link it back in. So I'm not giving away what is in the email. I'm making someone open the email to find that out. And what I would recommend that people do is try and use some sort of curiosity to make people open it. So again, if I've written out an email, let's say for argument's sake, let's say I'm launching a new treatment and it is a rhubarb infused facial, right? Let's just say for argument's sake. And instead of having in my subject line as new facial announced or something like that, I would have it as something like, you'll never guess what I've done with this rhubarb, ... right? Because someone's going to open that, aren't they? Because you'd be like, what the hell has he done with the rhubarb? I need to know. And then you're going to find out that it's actually all about our new treatment, right? So you do have to link the two. You can't just put a subject line that makes no sense. But finding something unusual or something that's intriguing is a really, really good way to do it. So that would be my top advice for subject lines.
Yeah, what did Ryan do with the rhubarb? Everyone's dying
Wouldn't
to
you?
know.
I mean, I don't. Wouldn't you?
One question that we had earlier on when you were talking about that really great idea that you did at your place about where people could win the spa day for two and you were collating their data and building your database like that. There was just a question about when you were first doing that, did you just keep that solely to email, obviously to strengthen that marketing tool and get the data, or did you promote it on your social as well?
No, great question. That's a really sensible question. No, I didn't. And here's the thing. And again, this is something else that we kind of teach people to do, because a lot of people run competitions and they run them on Facebook, you know, so it's like, oh, do something on Facebook to enter, a lot of which, by the way, are against Facebook's terms of service anyway. But even the ones that aren't, it's like, the problem with that is that just because someone likes a post of yours or does take some action in your social media, it's difficult for you to then follow up with them in any way. So the whole purpose of making them go to my website to enter is because I want their email address, ultimately, because I then want to build a relationship with them via email. So that was the only way that people could enter. And actually, that was a really big part of it. That whole thing wouldn't work if it was like our Facebook page to enter, for argument's sake. Because so what? They like your Facebook page, you know, big deal. It's not even gonna guarantee they see your posts. Whereas I know that if I've got their email address and I'm sending them an email that I know they want to open because they might win a spa day, I mean, you're going to open that email, aren't you?
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, that is all part of it. So yeah, great question, but no, has to be done on your website.
Yeah, and obviously if you're a smaller business, what would you recommend as something people could start off with as offering up as a prize that isn't going to kind of leave them out of pocket?
Yeah, absolutely. And this again comes back to, you know, an absolutely essential for all business owners of knowing your numbers, right? It is absolutely essential that you understand how profitable or otherwise all of your treatments are. So you want to give something away which doesn't cost you necessarily a lot of time or expense to actually fulfill it. So it's not about, you don't have to give away, because I know a spa day for two sounds like a very, very grand prize, but that was because we were in a spa with like 10 treatment rooms and a dozen staff. So it made sense for what we were doing. For someone just starting on this, then yeah, you need to choose something that people are actually going to enter for. That is one key thing, because if it's a rubbish prize, a bottle of nail varnish, no one's going to enter that, right? So it needs to be something worthwhile winning. And again, yeah, you can just pick a treatment off of your menu that ideally is inexpensive for you to deliver. So something whereby it doesn't have, you know, you wouldn't necessarily use something where you've got to run the machine and it's really expensive for you to deliver it, right? It wants to be your time. And when I say your time, ideally one of your staff members' time. And likewise, have it in your terms and conditions so that they can only claim the prize on whatever day your quietest day is, right? You don't want to be giving away with them and then come in and booking out all day Saturday afternoon with you. You want them coming on Tuesday morning and they want to be seeing your junior or whatever it might be. You know, you've got to make it work for you. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say exactly what the best thing for that person is because I don't know their menu, but hopefully a few ideas will help. And as I say, you can change it if you want to. We never did. We only had one prize and we never ever changed that once. And again, for us, part of the reason why we did it for two people was because then two people came into the spa and then we hoped that they both had a lovely time and might both then become regular clients, which many of them did, you know, and you can then get them taking photos and hashtagging it and all those good things, you know, you can get really good exposure from them coming in and telling all their friends about it, you know.
And we've had another question just about this, which said, how would you title the email informing everyone of the winner? I'm guessing using the word one in the subject line would kick the email into the junk file.
We used to typically have, and the winner is ... and everyone opened it.
And was that the same every month? You always kept that subject line? Pretty
much, yeah, or a variant on that. So yeah, typically it would be, we never had a problem with people opening that email, absolutely not. And again, the other thing about that as well is that because we also had in that email that went out, we also had whatever the treatment of the month was, lots of people would then obviously click on the links to that. And again, these are all indicators to the email delivery companies that people want to receive your email, because they're taking some sort of action. They're clicking on, even if they didn't buy, they would still click and have a look. And therefore, that is then a green flag, if you like, that yes, people want to receive these emails, so keep delivering them. Whereas the time you typically end up burning out your list or stops responding is because you're sending out emails and there's no action to be taken. So people just aren't interacting with it at all. And then eventually the companies say, oh, well, you know, you're not responding to these anymore, so we're not going to deliver them.
Yeah. And we've had another question on Facebook as well, and it's from Sonia, and she says, I'm just starting up with no contacts at all yet. What is your best advice / suggestion for getting started?
Well, I would do exactly what we've recommended in this. I don't, you know, Sonia, I would say, yeah, have a competition of some sort on your website, which is really important. Not giving away something which is going to leave you out of pocket. But I would, yeah, just do that and just make a start. You know, I mean, we didn't have a big list when we first started it. It grew as a result of doing this, you know? So it's absolutely fine to start small. And that is also why you don't want to give away a really, really expensive prize, because you might, in the first instance, you might only get a very small number of people enter. So you obviously want to make sure that, that you're keeping an eye on that. So I would do that. And then what we used to do is we then used to drive all of the traffic to the page on the website where you could enter the competition. So for example, you could then have that on your menu. You might have a QR code on reception. You know, would you like to win a manicure next month? Here's the QR code on your reception, scan that. You know, all these types of things can all then drive people to the competition. And that was what we used to do. And it would be on the menus, and it, you know, you can put it on your business card, and you can put it absolutely everywhere. And we just would push everyone to signing up, because that was the main action we wanted them to take, so that we could then build a relationship via email.
Yeah. And we've had another question as well that just said, asking for any suggested website providers for sole trader businesses, asking if you've got any recommendations on that.
Well, in terms of how the physical website itself, I mean, we always have had WordPress websites, which are great because you can give them to any web designer, and they would all be able to make amendments and so forth for you. So there's plenty of good companies out there. In terms of who to use, what I would personally do is I would personally probably find someone local to them, and someone that you can then speak to and actually get across to them what your vision for the website is, but also why you have a website. And that's really important, what the purpose of the website actually is, because it's important to have a presence, but also it's important to use that as an opportunity to get people to know you and your business a little bit better. So yeah, there's tons and tons of good providers out there. There's also quite a few that specialize in websites for our industry. So again, might be worth speaking with someone like that. But what I would say about websites is that they are an investment, and they should be viewed that way, because can you get someone to make your website for £100? Yes, you can. Will it be good? Probably not. You know, can you also get someone to make you one for £10,000? Yes, you can. Do you need that? No, you probably don't. But there's going to be somewhere in the middle that is going to be right for your needs. So it's important to, I would say be careful of the really, really cheap ones, because they're normally cheap for a reason. Yeah.
Right. We've just got time for one more question, so I'm going to try and squeeze something else in. Again, a question about this competition idea. Lauren said, if the customer has already signed up for the email competition on the website, will they have to re-add their email each month to enter the competition, even though they're already subscribed?
Great question. No. So they enter once, and they are just in the draw every month until they unsubscribe from my emails.
Right, that's all we have time for, everybody. I'm really sorry. I've tried to answer as many questions as we can, but we only have an hour on Zoom, and I don't want to cut Ryan off before we get to say goodbye. But Ryan, thank you so much for today. Everyone said it's been really useful information, really helpful. Lots of people are going to be using some of this now
Wow.
to kind of get customers booked in ahead of reopening. But yeah, just thank you again for coming on PB Webinars. We love having you on here, Ryan. It's always really good fun. And obviously, yeah, if anybody does have any other questions for Ryan, if you pop them on the chat box on Facebook, or we'll be loading this up to our Instagram later today, I can always get these messages to him and reply with an answer for you. But yeah, thank you so much, Ryan. We really loved having you today.
Thanks for having me, Amanda. Really appreciate it. And yeah, as I say, if anyone has got any other questions, just reach out to me, and I'll do my utmost to help everyone out. So thank you all for coming along today. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ryan. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.